Hi, I'm Samantha Detweiler here talking to Shae Ashe about running for school board. Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and the media formats that you're using?
Yes, so my name is Shae Ashe. I'm a 2008 graduate of Northtown High School. I'm running for a school board. I decided I was going to run late last year, kind of after the election. I've been out there in the community all across the line. So my website is voteshae.com and social media is @ShaeAshe. So we have a lot of stuff about our campaign on all of those platforms, as well as we've been doing a lot of campaign events, a lot meeting with constituents in the Northtown School District to just get their thoughts on the current status of the school district and what we can do to improve it.
Okay. So is there any other specific reason that you made the decision to run for the school board?
Yes, so this was a decision that I've been thinking about for years now. For people who know me, my mom was on the school board for 12 years. And so I've seen the ins and outs of the job of a school board director and the type of time commitment that it entails. When I graduated from college in 2014, that's when I started getting involved here in the community. I started my own nonprofit called the Northtown Project. I also became a committee member for the Northtown Democrat Committee, helping out behind the scenes with campaigns. So seeing all of the workings of a campaign and meeting with people throughout the years led me to this decision to run for school board late 2016 into now, just based on everything that's happening right now in the state and national level and how that's going to affect a school district like Northtown's. I felt like I didn't want to just sit back and let the impacts of what's happening in the state and national level affect us without any real change to happen.
So what is the Northtown Project?
The Northtown Project is a volunteer-led organization. We do community cleanups. We started off by just doing block-by-block cleanups. We've since grown to doing large park cleanups every quarter. Our last one was on MLK Day, where we had about 40 people read to kids. And then we have an Earth Day project coming up at Riverfront Park in Northtown, where we're expecting close to 100 people show up. We also have worked with the children in the school district to create a community garden over at Montgomery County OIC on Arch Street. So right now we're working with the kids now to try to get that together so they can start growing their vegetables and give that to the community.
Okay. So what other motivations have you had to run for school board?
Just what's happening now and on the national level with the new Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos. She's made it her mission to attack public schools and public education. And with her vision for more school vouchers and more charter schools, that will affect a school district like Northtown's first before the rest of the school districts are affected. Northtown has a really tight budget crisis that we have constantly been in. We have a $150 million budget, and if the federal government is talking about any type of cuts to public school funding, we're going to see more property taxes increase, and that's already been an issue in our school district where property taxes are just too high right now, and the school district is having to come up with making, cuts in the school as far as music programs and art programs, and we can't allow this to continue to happen. We have to have people in the race that are going to make sure that we're being creative, as creative as we can with our budget to make sure that there is no cuts happening in the school district.
So what does being on the school board entail for you?
The school board, which goes along with my platform, is we want to get the community aware of what's going on in the school district with the success of the students as well as the success of the board with all of the constraints that we do have. So that would be one of my things with transparency, is that we just have to be out there in the community more than we are. I'm usually at all of the school board meetings, and there's probably me and 3 other people that are there from the actual community. So when the budget increase comes up and tax increase comes around, and it's passed, and then people were like, well, what happened? Well, they weren't at the meetings to express their concerns about that, to work with the school board to see, what we should do to make sure that their taxes don't go up each year. So what I want to do is engage the community with the school board process and what's happening in the district to make sure that at the end of the day, when we are passing the budget, when we are making these decisions, that the community as a whole is satisfied with the decision and feel like that was the best that we could have done.
Okay. What qualifications do you have to make you capable for this job?
Well, I have a few years of experience. In college, I went to school for finance. I earned a degree in finance from Norfolk State University in Virginia. So that's where my passion for budget reform and the budget process has come into play. Also in 2010, that's when I started an internship with Walt Disney Company, which turned into a 5-year career with them. Working with them and working directly with people every day in Florida and other places that I've worked, I've developed a passion for helping others. So that was my experience with them, as well as in the community. I've done work with a nonprofit doing marketing to try to get people involved in programs outside of school. So extended learning care, before and after care for students. So I've done volunteer work with them, where I volunteer with middle school kids in the district to make sure that they're doing their homework, and then the STEM education is taught to them after school as well.
And are you using any other platforms instead of just social media to campaign?
Well, we do have a website, voteshae.com, where all of our information is on there. We've been doing fundraisers. We have a fundraiser coming up on March 2nd at Center Theater. We do have just different outreach that we've been doing. We've been attending meetings, knocking on doors, because right now is petition season. So we've been trying to get on the ballot, because we need to get on a Republican and a Democrat ballot. So we are making sure that we are reaching out to voters now and hearing their concerns.
Okay. What issues are you highlighting the most, and what plan do you have to put in place to rectify it?
Yeah, so my three platform ideas are teachers, technology, and transparency. So there needs to be more support for teachers. We need to make sure that the union is heard, the teachers union. For some years they have had some differences with the school board as far as some policy changes that they weren't included in on discussions. So we want to make sure that the teachers are being heard when it comes to what's happening in the school board. Technology, I want to make sure that we continue technology. Northtown has one of the best technology programs in the region. We have, new Chromebooks, smart boards that here in the technology department here. So that's something that we need to highlight and expand beyond the classroom. So we need to make sure that what we're doing here in Northtown and the middle schools and elementary schools go beyond just the classroom, and that every student has access to technology beyond school. The other thing is the transparency, like I talked about earlier, is that we just need to get the community involved, and we need to make the community aware of the great things that are happening in the district. Northtown has has received a bad perception, and it's an unfair perception, because I've went to Northtown. I live in Northtown. I know that the school district is great. They do have some challenges, but they're not what everyone is saying that the district is. And what we need to do is change that perception of our community, of our school district, because we do have a lot of students that aren't going to our schools. They're going to charter schools and private schools, and that has been a large chunk of our budget going away from our schools, because we have to transport these students. So right now we have about 378 students that are going to a charter school 10 miles away, that we're having to pay for that, and that's $14,000 per student. That's $14,000 out of our district budget for any program as far as technology, as far as reading, science, technology, engineering. those programs are being underfunded when we have to transport all of our students out of our district, and that's not fair for people who are here in the district.
So what significance do you have to the Northtown School District?
The significance I have is just being involved the way that I'm involved in the community now. For the past couple of years, I've been meeting with people about their concerns about the district, and as well as working with students to make sure that they know what they're going to do after school, because college isn't for everyone. So what do we need to do if you don't want to go to college? What type of trade school is there available? Is there apprenticeship union that you could get into? So we need to make sure that our students are prepared for after school. So that's been one of my focuses that I've had, as well as the nonprofit that I've volunteered with. So that's been my major focus.
So what advantage do you feel that you have over the other candidates?
The advantage that I feel that I have is my involvement for years on the committee and working at the polls and knocking on doors, making sure we get out the vote. So that's been my advantage to them, as well as I do have the energy to run for school board. I've been actively fundraising heavy, which a lot of the candidates have not done this far. So we are, making sure that we're getting out the word, we're getting out the vote, because what we want to do as well is not just win, but we want to increase the turnout in the school district. So if we're engaging younger people, if we're keeping our numbers for our senior citizens at a strong number, we need to get larger voter turnout in this district. And if we see that, we're going to see a lot of change on the local level too, with the supervisors, the commissioner, and council in our district, to see a better change, that we're going to see some different candidates come out this year. So I think that's going to be important. It's going to also make people know that there's no age limit on when you can run for school board. I'm 27 years old, and we do have other people who are my age, younger and older, who are running for school board. And what I hope that does is, in the next election, there's an election every year, is that we get more people my age as well as younger who are getting involved in earlier in the game. So that's my hope.
Do you see yourself primarily as a representative of the community or as a representative of the school system?
I want to say both. So I want to say the representative of the community with my organization, the Northtown Project, that I've been doing since 2013. That has been my focus, on being involved in the community. As far as the education side of it, I've developed a passion for education. One place I work now with, I do constituent services for Congressman Brendan Boyle, and one of the things that we get across every day is a lot of education concerns on federal level with the Secretary of Education, and how we got to figure that out. So that's been one of my focuses recently, was education and making sure that the legislation that's happening in Harrisburg and Washington don't hurt us, that we need to make sure that our representatives know what type of needs that our school district needs in order to succeed.
Okay. And like you said, technology has become a norm in many other school districts. While Northtown's has had a slow start to it, how important do you think the technology is to a classroom, and how else would you implement it here?
Well, technology is a growing field in terms of different types of technology coming out, as well as the type of jobs that are available. So what I want to make sure we do is involve children in technology and computer sciences earlier than middle school. Right now, they kind of start around 6th grade with computer sciences, and I want to make sure that it starts at the elementary school level, which the other school districts around us are doing. And that's getting people more involved in technology, getting them more interested and wanting to be in those type of fields after they graduate. So that's one of the things that I want to do, coding is a huge thing that's expanded, and I think this year was one of the first years that Northtown has done the hour of code in December. So that was a great thing to see, that the kids that I was working with in the before and after care program, they already knew what code.org was, and the other site was Girls That Code. So we need to get them involved in those computer sciences fields and everything, because that's one of the higher paying jobs right now in the industry. So if they can get involved in those type of jobs, then we can see the community in a whole succeed.
Okay. And how will you balance between your own major concerns and the inputs of students and parents?
So the one thing about transparency is that we want to make sure that every decision that I would make on the school board is because this is what the constituency has requested that we do. So we need to make sure that we're listening to the constituents, which are the parents and students. So we need to make sure that we're having more outreach events in the district, as well as we're making sure that at those parent conference meetings and open houses that every school board director is there, making sure that they're meeting with the parents, hearing their concerns, as well as people who don't have students in the district, because they're also concerned as well about the school, because they're still paying property taxes. It's not just parents. Everyone has to pay. Senior citizens have to pay. I have to pay. So we need to make sure that their concerns are also being heard, because they're receiving property tax increases every year, and they're like, well, no one's talked to me about this. Why am I paying more? Some senior citizens are paying close to $6,000 a year in property taxes, but are only receiving $700 paychecks from Social Security. That does not add up when you come to groceries and you come to cost of living. It's just not fair for them to continue to pay more and more each year. So we have to figure out what their concerns are and how we can make sure that our district does not hurt their pocket.
So how will you balance between ensuring a solid education program and the taxes in this community?
So I think we do have a strong education program now. I think the challenges that we do have are a lot of the standardized testing that we do have, and that takes away from the learning in the classroom. So as a result, Northtown is constantly suffering from the results of the Keystone exams and different exams, because that also is a part of where we get funding from. So if we're not having high test scores, then we're also losing a portion of the budget that we could receive. And Northtown does have a large community that speak multiple languages. I think Northtown, last time that they checked it, was that there was 27 different languages spoken throughout the school district. So we need to make sure that we have a strength. We need to strengthen our ESL program to make sure that our students are making sure they're learning English as their second language, but we're making sure that not only are they learning, but they're prepared to pass the test, that they're prepared to pass any standardized exams, and that they're not, so we can get them back into the regular classrooms. So that would be one of the things that we need to do on strengthening the education system in Northtown, as well as making sure that we are reviewing our curriculum. This year, the new curriculum was just adopted a couple weeks ago, but once again, we didn't have a lot of parents and people from the community there to make an input on, maybe we shouldn't be doing this program, or maybe we shouldn't be doing this type of class. We didn't hear much of the community express their concerns or support for the curriculum. So I think that's what we need to do is get people involved in the curriculum process, because it is a long process to do.
Mm-hmm. So as the country switches from a public school endorsed administration to one more privatized, what challenges do you foresee our school facing, and what steps will you do to ensure the proper education for the students of the district?
Right. So on the federal level, with more push for private education, charter reform, school vouchers, we're seeing that our budget, which is 15% of the budget, comes from the federal government. They're estimating that that's going to decrease to 12%. As a result, that's about $6 million that we might lose out of our budget. So we have to figure out where that $6 million is coming, and one thing that it shouldn't come from is from property taxes. We have to figure out what type of development that we need to do. So right now there's current bills that are in the state that will hurt Northtown. So there is a property elimination bill, which sounds great in theory because a lot of people with low income are going to have essentially elimination of their property taxes. But where do we recuperate that money that is going to be lost? And there's no real plan right now on the state level. As well as there's another business relief tax program, which Northtown School District doesn't really have a lot of businesses like neighboring school districts to support their budget to offset their property taxes. And what we need to do is make sure that we're engaging with our state reps and Congress to make sure that they know that whether, what they're going to vote on could affect Northtown, and we need to make sure that the decisions that they make don't hurt our school district, and we need to urge people to contact our legislators to let them know of their concern.
So is working with Congressman Boyle going to positively affect you then if you do enter school board?
Well, I don't think it would be me that would be directly contacting him because I do work there, so I would not be able to influence that office in any way. But I do feel that my experience with working with constituent services and knowing the process of how a government can talk to the representative to make sure that their voice is heard in Harrisburg and Washington, I think that's an important feature to have on that school board because school board directors don't really have a lot of power in terms of legislation. The main power that they have is property taxes, whether or not your taxes go up. So we can't say that businesses need to be taxed 20-30% or higher, and we can't impose anything outside of what the state has already given us the power to do. So what we need to do is continue to pressure Harrisburg to make sure that our voices are heard and that the decisions that they make don't affect our district.
Okay. And how do you feel that things changed here than when you came to school here?
Well, when I was in Northtown High School, we were actually going through that year where my freshman year, we had 7 or 8 classes, but then like the next year we had the block scheduling of like college style, term classes. So I think that was a good transition, and since then I think it's changed because of the standardized testing, but what we need to do is just continue to look at what's going on in our district and what's going on with the trend of the national on the state level in terms of standardized testing, because we might have to change our scheduling a little bit again. We might have to change our curriculum. So I think the school district is forever changing because we're trying to react to everything that's happening on the state level. So I think that's what we need to do, is just be more proactive and making sure that the decisions that we make are going to better position our students for that.
And can you tell us again your contact information so that anybody with any more questions or anything can contact you?
Right. Yes, so they can always go on voteshae.com, as well as all social media is Shae at Shae Ashe, as well as my email address is shae@shaeashe.com. I do have fundraisers that are coming up March 2nd from 6 to 8 at Center Theater right in downtown Northtown, so people can always come out and meet me there. I will be talking to, there will be a couple other people that will be there as well that they can meet, a couple other school board candidates. So I think that is the best way that they could reach me is I'm always out in all those different events in the community, and I'll probably be knocking on their doors pretty soon. So.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, that's
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Samantha, here talking to Shae Ashe about school board. And back to our host.